Hey gang, Lou here from Jersey Shore Fabricators again. So our little Tacoma project we got going on. A customer called, asked me if I could put in a bed liner. Well, you can see behind me, there's a bed liner that we took out. What we're going to be going with is this Raptor liner here. Alright, you've probably seen a million videos on it. I know I have. So here's another one. Putting down a liquid bed liner is really no different than putting down paint, except that it's a lot thicker. And what do I mean by that is the prep. All right, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here on the bed of this truck, we have an area. It was kind of wiped out. It was kind of sanded, but not really good enough. In the middle of the bed there, you can see that hasn't even been touched with sandpaper. All right, but what I'm more concerned about is down here in these cracks and crevices. That dirt has got to get out of there by any means necessary. So use a brush, use a pick, use an air hose, okay, or a blowgun. You want this as sanitary as possible. Now over here on this side, there's still a little bit down there. Still got a whole bunch over here. I just wanted to stop because there's a rust hole right there that I have to address. I'm going to walk you through that. Probably walk you through the whole bed liner thing. The other thing, and I'm going to get into this later, is I see how a lot of people are doing these, and I mean, look, there's really no wrong way other than not cleaning, but I like to leave things accessible. So up in the front of the bed, there's two drain holes. They were completely plugged with dirt, but there was a bed liner in here anyway, so who cares? I intend on leaving those open, whether it be through masking tape, whatever. The other thing, and this makes me crazy, is this gap right here. Right, so the tailgate's closed, everything's black, everything looks good. You open the tailgate, and then it's body color in here. So I'm pulling the tailgate off. I'm doing inside of here. This actually comes up on top of here, so I don't want to get into that. Well, actually, I should say this surface here won't get into this. The other thing that makes me crazy is that people go right over these screws, okay? And this panel needs to be removable because if your tailgate lock has a problem, you have to be able to access it. And if you do the bed liner over it, well, guess what? Now you got to cut it all apart, and it's going to look like crap. So these are stainless screws. We're going to get these. I'm going to get these all polished up. I'll get new plastic washers. That way it looks nice when it goes back together. The original hardware that was in here, the hooks, we've already got them out, cleaned them. I'm going to paint them, I don't know, maybe a silver color or a cast iron gray color or something. Just so that when everything goes back, well, when everything is finished, everything, at least from the cab back, looks brand new. The rest of the truck, however, that's on the owner. Not a whole lot to do about that. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So down here where these seams are, and I'm just using Mean Green Orange Champ Cleaner and Degreaser, courtesy of, well, not courtesy, but bought that over at Lowe's. I don't get anything courtesy. I'm not sponsored. I have 0 sponsors. Nobody sends me anything, not even a t-shirt or a cool coffee mug. So, now you see how much of that crap is coming out? That took all of about 3 seconds. Now, even if you take a rag, wipe it off, you'll still see there's a bunch of crud down there. That's going to be a failure point for your liner. So now, and that's pretty clean. So one more wipe off with that, but you get the idea. Get all the nooks and crannies. After you sand, you're going to be cleaning this down again. So you don't have to get too crazy right now, but by the end of this, you will have to get crazy. All right, so here is a close-up of the damage that's going on here. So like I said, we have seam sealer right here that ends, and then we have our metal, and then we have seam sealer, and we have our metal. Now, this doesn't look like it's going to go beyond this spot weld and this spot weld. So, what my plan is, let's see if I get down here and be able to do this without falling over. All right, so there's a spot weld here, here, I'm sure there's one in here, 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 and here. So I'm going to break those spot welds loose and attempt to separate these two pieces of metal. Okay. My plan, I'm hoping, if I can cut this right here, that'll be perfect. And if I can cut this just beyond where the spot welds are, right along here, that'll be perfect. And then I'll break a piece of metal to go here to make up this piece. And then I'll put a curve on this piece of metal to make up this piece, overlap them, and then spot weld them together. And then we'll throw some seam sealer over it, and then it'll be ready for Raptor liner on this part. Now I still have the rest of the bed I have to finish prepping, but this is the biggest part, and I cleaned it all by hand, like I said, because I wanted to make sure there was no other rust to deal with. I'm going to be using, I don't know, it's a little bit bigger than an 1/8 inch drill bit for a pilot hole, and I'm going to be using what's called a rotobroach. Okay, it's by a company called Blair. They make probably the best metal hole cutting systems that I've ever used. They go from a 1/4 inch all the way up to, I think the biggest one I have is 2 inches. And they're not just for sheet metal. I mean, this will go 1/4 of an inch deep. So, I mean, if you're working with 3/16 plate, these are very, very sharp. They will get the job done. They're not cheap, but they work very, very well. Actually, thinking about it one more time, and literally there was 5 seconds from the last segment to this segment, I'm just going to cut the whole thing out, and I'll spot weld them together with the new metal. There's no point in trying to break them loose, because I'm going to cut a little bit beyond them. Yeah. 10 minutes later. Yeah, really, it's about 10 minutes to cut all that out. All right, so now it's pretty much prepped. So looking at the way the two pieces are put together, I thought they might be flanged under here. They're not. They're just, they're just overlapped on top of each other. Now, I could go ahead and just make one piece of metal, weld it in, and call it good. But it's really not how I do things. So I have this piece here. I have to make a little lip that comes up because it has to get welded to this cross member. It's pretty much flat here on the cross member, so I could stay flat here. And I just have to remember that this piece goes over this piece. So right now, the only thing I'm going to work on is this. So I'm going to go cut some metal and see what I can't make out of it. All right, so after about, 15-20 minutes of fadoodling, here's what we got going on. We have this piece of metal here, which will get a couple of holes drilled in it. They'll get spot welded to here. That's going to lay in there like that. This piece, I got lucky down here. I could put this right on the curve and butt weld that. And then you can see that the edge here and the edge on that side line up. And they don't have to be exact because they're going to get seam sealer over them. But that's going to be our repair. So I'm going to go ahead and get these drilled and welded up. Now, as well as this bottom piece getting spot welded to the cross member, this top piece will also get spot welded to the bottom piece. And then it's also going to get butt welded. So essentially it'll be just as strong as what the factory did. And everything's going to be at the same level. So when this is welded and ground down, and the seam sealer goes on it, and then after that the bed liner, Well, actually, before the bed liner, but you won't be able to tell where the repair was. So, off to drill holes. Now, the key to a clean job is making sure that you have proper masking, which these two guys are doing for me. On top of that, after everything is sanded, as you can see here, there's nothing shiny. So the last step, the very last step before you do anything, is you're going to wipe everything out with a pre-cleaner, paint pre-cleaner. You could use lacquer thinner. I'd rather use, an actual wax and grease remover. So go ahead and get that done, and then we'll be ready to start shooting. So here it is, all prepped, cleaned, ready to go. We've taped up the screw holes. Let's get this one over here. Taped up the screw holes to make sure we don't get any stuff in there so that the screws go back in. Like I was saying before, these nooks and crannies down here, you leave dirt in there, you're going to end up having a failure. You have shiny spots anywhere, you're going to have a failure. If you walk inside the truck with your shoes on, you're going to have a failure. So treat this as if you're using regular paint. And then, load up your gun and go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this shot. I'll come back maybe in the middle of doing this or after the first coat's done, let you know what I think. All right, gang. So there it is, all finished up. I gotta tell you, I am very happy with the results here. Nice coverage all the way around. Painting that hardware, the hooks and all that, and also doing the inside right there. All right, makes me feel a lot better because it would make me crazy knowing that every time this tailgate's open, it's going to be red in here. Same thing down here. Everything's one even, consistent color. Look at it from the side. Absolutely love it. Very happy with the way it came out. I have no complaints. It was a little extra work to do that, but I think the finished product speaks for itself. I can't find these plastic washers. I shouldn't say I can't find them. I didn't go out for them. But being that this is a hunting vehicle, I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I don't think the customer is either. And the really cool thing, I know it's not going to get picked up here, but this seems to have a bit of blue and silver metallic in it. So it's got a pretty cool look at it in the sun. Let's see if I can get back here. Yeah, I absolutely dig it. So I gotta tell you, for a product that's supposed to be a do-it-yourself product, if you have the means to do it at your own place, you certainly can. Sorry about that, I got the drop light hooked around my sneaker. It looks just as good out in the sun. The reason why I'm not doing this out in the sun is because, well, my neighbors are outside and they think I'm crazy, talking to a camera all the time. And you can see along the back here what we kept as the cap rail. We made sure that was taped and even line all the way across. So that's that. That's Raptor liner in a Toyota or anything else you want to put it on. The key, like anything else, the key is to prep. Okay, make sure everything's clean. When you think it's clean enough, clean it again. You want something like this done? Reach out to us. Jersey Shore Fabricators LLC on Instagram, Facebook, and whatever else is out there. I'm sure we're out there. And of course, here on YouTube. All right, so until we see you next time, later.